next race for Maryland governor. Even though ballots won't be filled out for over a year, candidates are eyeing the governor's mansion.
Mackenzie Frost is live with who's running and who's not. Mackenzie?
Mary and Kai, that's right. Today, Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford quashing some rumors, saying that he is not going to jump in the race for governor. Like you mentioned, the race still more than a year away, but the candidates are lining up and getting ready to jump in. Governor Larry Hogan will no longer lead the state after 2022. 2 terms in Annapolis and term limits force him to move on. His number 2, Boyd Rutherford, taking to Twitter today announcing he's not running with his, quote, family's best interest in mind.
It means that it's really a wide open landscape.
As soon as the news of Rutherford's exit of the field of possibilities, Hogan's Commerce Secretary Kelly Schultz hopping right in. Schultz, the first Republican candidate to formally announce her gubernatorial ambitions and the first woman. Maryland has never had a female governor. For Democrats, the field is growing. Current comptroller Peter Francho jumping in early with a video announcement in December, and some other lesser-known hopefuls.
So I think you're going to see a lot of people are going to say, who is that?
Political analyst John Deedy says he expects a crowded field, perhaps on both sides, adding more will likely jump in soon.
I think by September, everyone's in.
Rumblings of other candidates announcing their political ambitions are happening too, especially around Democratic Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski, former state AG Doug Gansler, Republican County Executive Barry Glassman is set to make an announcement Thursday, which could point to Annapolis or Washington, potentially challenging Congressman Andy Harris. For the GOP, Deedy says Hogan could play an early role as kingmaker, but his own political ambitions could take Hogan elsewhere as this race heats up for his own seat.
But also, if he's thinking of running for president in 2024, he may want to spend the second half of 2022 not in Maryland trying to get his successor elected, but campaigning for Republicans who may be able to endorse him later if he runs for president.
There is still plenty of time for things to change. The primary races for both the Democratic and Republican side set for June 28th, 2022.
New tonight, court documents are offering new insight into the days after Baltimore police arrested Freddie Gray. It comes 2 days after the 6-year anniversary of Freddie Gray's arrest and subsequent death. Baltimore police arrested Gray on April 12, 2015. Officers put him inside of a police van. By the time Gray's trip got to the police station, he had suffered what turned out to be a deadly spinal injury. Now, Gray's death led to city unrest and a federal investigation of the Baltimore Police Department.
The new documents are part of a federal lawsuit filed against the city and former leaders by owners of businesses that were damaged during the unrest. Mackenzie Frost is live to explain how the city is trying to change the narrative around response and what the governor is saying tonight. Mackenzie?
Yeah, Mary, that's right. At the heart of this lawsuit, these businesses claim that the city didn't do enough to protect the property or simply didn't act quick enough to stop the unrest that we saw unfold in the city following the death of Freddie Gray. Now, these documents indicate and include statements from former leaders that were made under oath, and it appears to be shifting blame to the state. Unrest in Baltimore difficult to forget, all stemming from the death of Freddie Gray in police custody. These new court filings paint the city's response to the violence in the streets as successful. Former Baltimore City Police Commissioner Anthony Batts said the state police did not respond and give resources that the city was requesting to help respond to the violence quick enough. Batts also said former Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake quickly agreed that declaring a state of emergency for the city was necessary as the violence continued. Rawlings Blake also provided statements in the filings. Both her and Batts' claims were made under oath and directly contradicts the narrative from Governor Larry Hogan. Today, the governor pushing back on those claims, saying the former leaders cannot rewrite history.
One of the most ridiculous revisionist histories that I've ever heard in my life. Anyone who said that is probably committing perjury. There are thousands of people that are well aware of exactly what happened. They know that we sent in 4,000 members of the National Guard and 1,000 police officers, and we're the ones that put the riots down and stopped all the unrest in Baltimore City after the city failed to do so. I mean, it's not a disputable fact. Everyone knows exactly what happened, and that's just lying.
I tried to get some clarity today. I reached out to former Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake several times to get more insight into these court documents and the filings, as well as hear from her directly about the timing of everything, but she did not respond.
Imagine going to the library hoping to check out your favorite book. You discover the book you want isn't on the shelf, not because it was checked out, rather, it's in quarantine. That's the reality some students in Maryland are facing. Amy Simpson is live tonight with more. Amy.
Kai, we're learning that mostly everybody is just handling this topic a little bit differently. Back in school, in person, part-time. A young student had her heart set on a book in the library.
My fourth grader came home all excited. She got 3 books, but there was one she wanted, but it was in quarantine.
Amy Adams' daughter is a student at a Baltimore County public school. We asked the district for its official policy. Right now, BCPS says books are removed from student access for either 3 or 7 days, depending on how they were returned. The district says quarantining books is a precaution taken as a result of national, state, and local health recommendations. But in the same jurisdiction, Baltimore County Public Libraries has opted for a different route. The county libraries telling Fox 45 News, as of March 31st, no more quarantine for library items. The library system says there's no evidence to show the virus is transmissible by simply handling materials. Last week, the CDC updated its guidance on surface transmission of COVID-19, saying the risk of surface infection of the virus is less than 1 in 10,000.
We don't have to wipe our groceries down anymore. It's not a thing. We don't have to quarantine artwork and library books.
Today, we asked other districts, are you quarantining books? And if so, why? Howard County Public Schools says items are quarantined for 24 hours, down from its previous 1-week hold in library limbo. And Anne Arundel County Public Schools says it's using the guidance of the Maryland Department of Health, operating with a 48-hour quarantine for library materials. And while it's clear that everybody is handling this a little bit differently, today Anne Arundel County Schools in particular said that it's being prudent with maximizing health and safety while also maximizing selections for students.